quarter of an hour with the arrival of so-called 15-minute cities. This dystopian plan will see roads in some of Britain's most iconic towns and cities being blocked off, with cars being restricted to certain areas, all overseen by number plate recognition cameras installed everywhere, with a surveillance culture that would make Pyongyang envious. In some places, your car would have an allowance to drive on certain streets for a fixed number of days in the year. Some roads out of bounds to all. Many consider this idea laudable. 15-minute cities make everything walkable. You can go by foot to grab a coffee, do your grocery shopping, have a pint. And if you don't fancy walking, everything you need is just a 5-minute bicycle ride away. Lovely. Fans of this scheme say it will deal with traffic and congestion and make life easier, more convenient and sustainable for locals. Except that, as the MP Nick Fletcher, who's raised a question about this in Parliament, points out, these low-traffic neighbourhoods are having an impact on small businesses, given the lack of passing trade they now receive. Take a listen.
Will the leader please set aside some time in this House for a debate on the international socialist concept of so-called 15-minute cities and 20-minute neighbourhoods? Ultra-low emission zones in their present form do untold economic damage to any city. However, the second step after these zones will take away personal freedoms as well. Sheffield is already on this journey, and I do not want Doncaster, which is also a Labour-run socialist council, to do the same. Low emission zones cost the taxpayer money, simple as. However, 15-minute cities will cost us our personal freedom, and that cannot be right.
Well, the minister who answered his question, Penny Mordaunt, did not disagree. So projects like ultra-low emission zones in central London and other British cities is arguably impacting enterprise and is most certainly curtailing our way of life. The Telegraph today report that a low-traffic neighbourhood scheme in Haringey in North London has blocked off certain residential streets with cameras or planters to stop motor traffic using the neighbourhood as a through route. The council defended its actions, saying it aims to make it safer and easier to walk, wheel, scoot, cycle and shop locally. 6 months on, however, and the paper reports that 3/4 of traders on one Haringey street in particular are thinking of leaving in the next 18 months, and 3 have already shut up shop. One of them is My Little Home Emporium, a once bustling vintage furniture shop that now stands shuttered and derelict, with low-traffic neighbourhood planters blocking the road next to it. Now, some people characterise these 15-minute cities as an effective climate lockdown. Now, I think that's strong language and potentially misleading. I'm not sure that's what they are. Clean air looks to be a big motivating factor, and who doesn't want that? But it's clear that this policy, which local authorities argue will also help get carbon emissions down, is an unprecedented assault on how we go about living our lives, allowing the state to control your movements by car. It genuinely feels like a policy that would happen in mainland China, not Sheffield, Canterbury, Bristol, or that great seat of Western Enlightenment, Oxford. How shameful that any of this should happen in Britain, the home of liberal democracy, the home of free speech, the home of individual self-determination. People aren't stupid. Most people don't use cars unnecessarily. They get behind the wheel when they need to get somewhere, perhaps taking others with them, dropping the kids off to school, or a builder with colleagues in the back, or taking tools to a job. During the pandemic, when the likes of myself and others warned that we were setting a precedent, allowing the state to encroach so much on our lives, controlling our movements to stop COVID, we were labelled mad conspiracy theorists.